For the Yazidis, the tempo of life is slow and simple, a centuries-old ritual of pastimes and ceremonial. To the casual observer, an endless round of tea parties. This timeless quality is especially evident in Jadala, where most of the men belong to a priest-like, privileged sect called fakirs and are not required to work. As elders of the Yazidi religion, the fakirs exert a strong conservative influence, jealously guarding the traditional rites. Even taking coffee becomes an elaborate ceremony, with a set person assigned to each task, and every action laid down in an established routine, a recognized rhythm. Originally, the term fakir meant a poor man, and by tradition, the fakirs are wholly dependent upon the gifts of their followers. And what is not freely given, they may take anyway, without opposition. Marrying only amongst their own ranks, the fakirs have developed the solidarity of a religious caste. With their actions, their clothes, even the way they wear their beards, all bearing some religious significance. But this same resistance to change is to be seen everywhere in Yazidi life. The work of 10 communal flocks falls to the 10 or so families in Jadala who are not fakirs. Here, sheep are wealth, valuable items of trade in an economy still largely moneyless, based on barter. The biblical style of the shepherd is offset by one concession to the 20th century, a Russian submachine gun to discourage brigands. And always there is the desert. While it offers protection on one hand, guaranteeing isolation and attracting few marauders, the same hostile environment makes life difficult for the Yazidis. The spring, which is Jadala's sole source of water, is also its sole support. If the spring should dry up, the whole community would be forced to move on. While the water is there, the desert is bent grudgingly to man's purposes and yields him his bare subsistence. Clearing a stony field by hand and then channeling in the precious water can mean months of work before the village tobacco crop is planted. But a reward for the hard work comes with the harvest. In the spring, the apricot trees yield their fruit. Special care is taken with the apricot crop, one of the few cash crops that the Yazidi produce. They'll be taken off to be sold in a neighbouring town, and the money they bring will be used to purchase the few necessary commodities that the people of Jadala cannot produce for themselves. For these young boys, riding a donkey is all part of a day's work. But a trip to town, now that's something special. At the time of the wheat harvest, too, the donkeys come in handy as a threshing machine, freeing the grain from the stalks underfoot. An alternative method of fishing calls for the added refinement of a stout wooden sled and a very bumpy ride. Oops. That's what happens when you try to impress the cameraman with your speed. Luckily, there's no real harm done. Once the grain has been broken away from the ears, the job still remains of separating the wheat from the stalks and the husks by winnowing. Tossed high in the air, the wheat returns to earth, while the lighter chaff is scattered by the wind. Back in the village, today is a special occasion. We're to share in a fakir feast. To mark our arrival, the chief has had a sheep killed to augment the staple rice diet. And again, the ritual is strict. Guests eat first, then the chief, then the other men. The boys must wait until the adults have eaten before taking their turn. As a mark of their lack of status, the women and the young girls must eat quite apart. In fact, food that has been tasted by a woman is considered defiled, and a fakir man may not eat it. Among the fakirs, the traditional concept remains. From infancy, girls are treated as second-class citizens. They don't go to school, as the boys do. And at 14, or even as young as 12, they'll be married off to whoever can pay the dowry demanded by the bride's father. The amount so high that some men are quite old before they've saved enough for a child's bride. Unquestioningly, women accept their roles, carrying water, washing, spinning, doing housework, and of course, working in the village fields. The fakir women, returning heavily laden from the fields at day's end, offer a marked contrast to the relative freedom of their cousins, the wives of the nomad Yazidis, who visit the village with their donkeys to collect water from the spring. In their desert camp, the Yazidi nomads all share a communal tent, men and women alike. The women folk are not only present at the meal, but they're allowed to take part in the after-dinner attack, even when a stranger is there as a guest. Certainly, there is none of the rigid division between the sexes here among the tent dwellers. At each new campsite, the women build a bread oven. Once molded, the discs of bread are stuck to the hot inside walls of the oven. When they're done, they'll peel off themselves. For the hardy flocks of the nomads, spring means shearing time. The fleeces will be used to barter with the villagers for the things that the nomads need, like tea, sugar and tobacco. After the indignity of being shorn, the sheep are then rolled in warm ashes to keep them from catching cold. Thank goodness that's over for another year. And then the trading is done and the nomads have left. In the village, the normal round of work begins again. For the women. For the men, it's yet another tea party. This pot of tea will be very good. Very strong, huh? Lovely. But it can't all be cups of tea. Well, not for everyone. The non-fakirs must go about the necessary chores of maintaining a settled community. And one of the chores is building new dwellings. At the outskirts of the village, the brickworks are in full swing. Clay, mixed with the straw salvaged from the winnowing, will be sun-dried into bricks. There's no mad rush, but the pile of bricks steadily grows. wedding or the birth of a child means that another simple house must be added to the village. And so, life goes on. And death. The village cemetery, dominated by this mausoleum, ornate tomb of a sheikh, for humbler mortals, simple graves. One pole a woman, two for a man. More eloquently than flowers, the plaits of mourners, sun-bleached, attest to a personal sense of loss.